All right, how's everybody doing? According to this, I'm going live now. Come- just the details and stuff, always something. There's always something going on. But this is the front door show. I want to welcome everybody here today. As I tell everybody, all my guests, I'm going to introduce them, and then you're going to basically. There's always something going on. But this is today, as I tell everybody.
You just froze right now. Okay, I don't know if we're on or not. Are you there? I got a frozen message.
Okay, yeah, sorry about that. That was weird. I'm here, so don't worry
Oh, we
about it.
lost you. Okay, now you lost. I lost you. Now we're back again. Here we go.
If it, because I think because of the storm, maybe that's part of what's happening as well. So please go ahead and introduce.
The powers from above don't want to hear me talk. Well, I don't know if we're on right now because you froze up again, but nonetheless, hello. My name is Julio Sierra, and I'm on the front door show with DJ Prieto as the host. So let's see what questions you have to start it off now because I have no idea what's going on.
That's weird. No, this is weird. This is weird. Well, like I said, I was wondering what was going to happen with this storm because probably we're going to probably see a little bit of a interruption because it's raining in a bunch of places and stuff like that. So we'll try to do the best we can with the situation here. All right, Julio. A lot of people know you. I know you, but let's talk about what started you in this business. What's give me some insight of your first where you started from.
Wow, that we're going way back now, but
Oh, come on. Everybody
basically,
goes way back.
basically, I could say I've always wanted a DJ since I was a kid. Back when BMX was on the radio, I know like many of us as DJs started out at that era, where we would go to sleep and we would record the mixes, and then we'd fall asleep during the mix, and then when we woke up, the mix was still going on. So you flip the tape over, press record, and go back to sleep, and then the next day for the next 5 days, you would hear that mix, and you're like amazed of like, wow. So that basically got me into the music. And at that time, that's when house music was on the map from Chicago. So then, all during grammar school, you see the whole breakdance revolution. And I started doing that. Yes, as we know, you famous breakdancer here with the crew. But at that point, I grew up on the north side, and I live on the north side. I grew up at that time. I grew up in the Portage Park area, over by Central and Irving Park. And at that time, predominantly, it was all Italians and Greeks. So when I was growing up, I was growing up with Italians and Greeks. So all during grammar school was hanging out with those people. And then also in high school, the beginning of high school, I went to Schurz. So at that point, in my freshman, sophomore year, I was still hanging out with them. And back then, the thing to do was to go cruise up and down Harlem Avenue. But then for the North Siders, for the people that went to Schurz or the North Side high schools, it was like going down Fullerton, going down Elston, going down that. So I really didn't become exposed to like the North Side house parties and the dance crews and the party crews until like my sophomore, junior year of high school. So at that point, then I started, going to the St. John parties on the Logan Boulevard and all the other places, all the other places that had those parties that were being done by either Baby Huey or by Ziggy D. So started hanging out more and more, and then was exposed to that atmosphere, you can say. You know, at that time it was straight leg corduroys with your turtlenecks and your sweaters. And I got exposed to that. So then I started going to all those high school parties and whatnot. And then a friend of mine that was in high school with me, he was the only guy that had equipment. And they would hire him all the time for these parties because he's the only one with the equipment. He went by the name of Stevie G. He was a white kid, you know, and we would go to these like parties like on Fullerton and stuff, and he was the one with a station wagon with the wood paneling on the side and everything, you know. But he brought in the equipment, and that's when I started getting exposed to all like the hip house and house music that was at that time. So then
that was early 90s, right?
That was early 90s, yeah.
Okay.
Early
yes,
90s.
yes, okay.
So getting exposed to all that, and I was like, wow. And then this kid, you know, everybody, like all the girls went up to him, all the guys. So I'm like, man, I got no equipment, I got no money. So let me start becoming part of these dance crews. So I started doing dance crews and stuff like that. I was like Dark Side, Backroom, a bunch of other ones, which is way long ago. So, you know, just basically went up to Stevie, you know, when we were in school, and I go, hey, man, I need to learn how to DJ. How do I do this? He's like, well, if you want, just come to my house, you know?
For the girls, right? For the girls.
Don't say that. Maybe. But the thing is, though, it's like, you know, I was like, man, I want to do that because I just saw it. I was like, I felt like watching a movie, and like he was a star. Because as a DJ, I don't mean to sound selfish, but it revolves around you and the atmosphere you create. So if the music's good, the vibe is good, everybody's having a good time. But
wait, stop right there. Stop right there. So you mean that doesn't happen today? It only happened back then.
But I was saying it was my movie. It was my movie in my head watching him do it. So, but I think it doesn't go without saying. It's still happening now. It has to happen now. That's like the main thing. That's the main rule for us to keep everybody going. You know.
Right. But I mean, you know. But I mean, and I want you to tell your story. But it's just funny because I think all us guys, when we were breakdancing, you know, I remember when I was on Phil Donahue's show, Phil asked me, come on, you're the center of attraction. You're strutting your stuff because you're trying to impress the girls. Yeah, we all did that. That's why we did what we did. We were young guys. Come on. I mean, I don't mind, I want to sound so vulgar. We're little horny, tiny guys that say, hey man, look at me. Look what I can do. Let me spin on my head. Let me do a windmill. Or you're like you're scratching, and then what the girls are gonna do? Oh, wow.
Exactly. I want to know him. I want to know him.
I'm with the DJ.
Exactly. Yeah, and that's where it all comes from, you know? So yeah, you know, you have that in your mind. I was like, well, I want to be like him, you know? And I told him, I go, listen, man, what can I do to you know, so you can teach me, Mr. Miyagi kind of thing. And I go, I'll do your homework. I'll do whatever you need me to do, dude, you know? So he's like, no, just come to my house. So went to his house, and I remember it was Promised Land. He gave me 2 copies of Promised Land. He's like, all right, I want you to go and match the beats. So I did it. After an hour, I finally got him perfect. I did it. He'd come back, ruin the pitches, do it again. So little by little, I started doing it like that. So then I was like asking my parents, hey, Mom, Dad, can I get some equipment? And my parents would slap me in the head, and they're like, man, you better go over there and make yourself a grilled cheese with that government cheese we got, you know? So I'm like, okay, well, there goes my aspirations of being a DJ. So I started dancing. But then, you know, there was people that obviously you're always going to find someone better than you.
So wait a minute. You said dancing?
Yeah, dude, I used to be the party crews, man.
Okay, so you were basically like the Colitos and Porter Taste type of dancing?
Well, something of that along those lines, but a different age. a different
But
era.
but I'm saying like footwork and stuff like that.
Oh
And
yeah, footwork,
yeah,
all that stuff. Yeah,
right,
yeah.
right, right.
We did that. I'm like, okay, well, I can't be a DJ, so let me be a part of these party crews. So I started the party crews, dance.
Okay.
So we started doing, like, back then it was the Riviera, going to the Riviera parties, party crew battles at the Aragon. So we started doing all that. So
Okay.
now things change, and then in the high school, I knew how to somewhat DJ, not too well, but anyway. So it segues into how I started getting into it. My friend Eddie, he's like, hey, my friend Al, he's opening up a spot and he needs some help to do some remodeling and stuff. Al Cisneros. And I was like, okay, who's Al? Do we know him? He's like, yeah, he's the owner of Janelle's. And for me, living on the north side, that far north, I'm like, what's Janelle's? I didn't know what Janelle's was. I've never been to Janelle's, the big one or the small.
Right.
So
well, you were too late.
I was too busy dancing.
Right.
So anyway, so what happened was that from there, I went with Eddie, the other Eddie, and this other guy, Elvis. We went over to 112 North Green. And I looked in there, I'm like, this is a club? I didn't picture this, So then, yeah, we were helping out, like, build all this stuff and whatnot. And then I'll never forget the first day I met Al. Started just funniest guy, dude, and so friendly, so outgoing. And he's got that distinct laugh that just stuck with me. And then when we finished doing everything, he's like, hey, you want a job? I was like, okay, what do you want? What do you need me to do? He's like, why don't you work the coat room? I was like, all right, cool. I'll work the coat room. So Alcatraz opens up, and, there was a certain type of people that were coming in there, straight leg jeans or straight leg corduroys or sweaters and whatnot. Then little by little, it started not doing as well. I was like, wow, okay. And next thing you know, like the following week or 2 weeks later, the crowd completely did a 180 from going into like turtlenecks and sweaters to like dressing completely all goth, all dark clothes. And all the girls with their bob haircuts, with the black eyeliner, with the white blouses and the short skirts with the tights up to the thighs. And the guys would come in with their white t-shirts and their biker jackets. And I'm like, okay, let me see what's going on. So I went out of my coat room area and I went to the floor and I was like, holy crap, this thing was jamming. And it was music that I was like not accustomed to because it was all alternative at that point. I'm like, what's this? It's pretty catchy. It sounds pretty good. So then I was like, wow. And again, I saw Pablo. Pablo was playing up there. And I was like, I had flashbacks. Like, I want to do that. I want to do that. So I remember I talked to Al. And I said, Al, is it possible for me to come in earlier on Saturdays before we open, and can I practice? And Al, he's like, yeah, sure, come on in. So I would show up like at 6 o'clock, and we opened up at 9. So from 6 to 9, I would just practice. So about 3 weeks later passed by, and I was like, okay, go practice. Okay, fine. So it was like 10 minutes to 9, and I was like, wow, the other DJ's in here yet. I was like, okay, well, he might be here. Shoot, okay. 9:10, people are starting to walk in. I'm freaking out. I'm like, I'm not ready for this. So then 9:30, I was already crying, looking out down the stairs. I'm like, dude, is someone gonna come take care of this? So Al comes up at 9:30. He's like, hey, what's up? How you doing? I go, I'm good. Listen, the other DJ, he's not coming in today. I was like, what? He's like, yeah, so you keep going until this other guy shows up. I was like, I'm not ready. He's like, no, you're fine. Don't worry about it. I go, dude, I am not ready. Don't worry, you're fine. You're fine. And as he's saying you're fine, he's closing the door behind him, and he literally locks me in the DJ booth. Seriously, because at Alcatraz, it was backwards there because the door to lock was from the outside, not from the inside out, but from the outside in. So he literally locked me in there. And I'll never forget it because I was playing and I was so scared. And I look at the crowd and the crowd just looking at me like, who in the hell is this guy massacring the music? Like in a bad way. And I was like, oh my God. And then I think it was about 10:30 when Mikey the Birdman showed up, who was the resident at the time. So then he took over and I was like, Al, would you? He's like, no, you did good. Don't worry about it. You did good. That's one thing about Al. Al was very encouraging. Always told me, keep going, keep going.
Right.
Now, the thing is though, with Al gave me my shot. Al gave me the actual taste of being in the club doing that. And then little by little, you know, I started building up. But then this is where my first DJ name came from, because we had Anything Box at Alcatraz for the first time. And Al's like, you know what,
Pablo did that.
Yeah, Pablo did that. And then Al was like, Julio, why don't you open up? And then Mikey's going to go on. No, Pablo will go on. Okay, fine. I go, I need a name. What name do I give myself? And then at that time, it was Mikey the Birdman from Alcatraz. So that was his niche. So I forgot who had the genius idea to call me DJ Twitty. I was like, and you know what? As ridiculous as it sounds now, I was so excited when he told me that. I go, yes, I'm all in. I will take that name. So I was like, okay. So the day of the Anything Box concert, I get on. I'm feeling a little more confident. I'm working it, you know. Long story short, end of the night, we go home. And I'm we went to Pablo's house, and Pablo's brother was there with all his friends. There's about 10 of us on a table, just sitting down, recapping the night. And this one guy, Rocky, goes, man, bro, that party was good, but that DJ Twitty sucked. And then Pablo goes, that's him. Ah! And I was like, oh my God. So let's say I didn't have a good first start, but it built up after that, which I'm grateful.
Twitty was the complex, huh?
Exactly. If I wasn't gonna get sued for copyrights, you know, thank God I was thinking about that before I took the name. So then, yeah, that's where I got my start, was at Alcatraz. And then after the DJ Twitty name, I became Julio the Rebel. That was my name.
Okay.
That was my name then for a minute in that scene, in the alternative scene.
Okay, yeah. Someone was Juan Carlos Torres said Rebel.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what he remembered you from.
It's funny because a lot of my brother's friends till this day, they call me the Rebel.
Right.
So yeah, so that's that. So that basically was in the alternative scene. Because then from
right.
Yeah, so from Alcatraz, I played at Medusa's, and then that closed down like a month later, the Medusa's on Sheffield, and then from there, then I played at the Medusa's at the Congress, which at that point it was Lewis and Leon that were doing that.
Right. So that was so was that about the time I met you the first time? Was with Lewis and Leon at the Congress? That was the first time.
That was the first time that I met you. That was pre Cuatro Fantásticos.
Right, exactly. Because like I said, I met Lewis and Leon when they were doing Village Cafe, and I had just started doing, I guess, promotions, and I was doing the Spanish rock aspect of it with Telly and Rick Torres and stuff on the south side at a place called the Pirámide Azteca. And I remember that was one of the things that they told me that to go to the Congress for Medusa. And I remember I said, oh, okay. And I walked into the Congress, and there was two rooms, right? There was the main room and the front room. Is that how they had the music separated, or was it all in the main room?
From what I remember, it was the main room. It was the one big main room up until the doors to get into the theater part, because the theater part was closed off. And then the DJ booth was upstairs, those stairways, the DJ booth was up in the top corner.
Right. Okay. All right. So that's what I think the first time I was introduced to you from Leon. They introduced me to be. So you're doing the Congress or Medusas. And what kind of music are you playing at that time?
At that point, it started going in more into the house, the hip house, the booty house per se. That's the era, because at that point, the alternative scene was starting to, like on the north side, it was not really exposed. Like I said, the north side was mostly. Don't. What do you tell me? Go ahead.
Marco Hernandez has a rebuttal on this.
Because
he's saying that Lewis and Leon never did the Congress.
Who did? Yeah, they did. Who did the Congress?
That's what he's saying.
All right, Marco, me and you off this conversation, we're gonna see who did it. I thought Lewis and Leon did it. I worked for somebody.
Well, I know Medusa had it. I mean, Dave Medusa had it. So
right, but
that's what he's maybe.
But then they switched it because it was like the Medusas at the Congress. I want to say maybe lasted about a month at the most, and then that's when like I remember Fast Eddie would perform there and stuff like that. I don't recall 100% if it was still called Medusas or if they called it the Congress at that point.
I don't know. I could have sworn that was where I met Leon and Lewis, but maybe it was Leon and Lewis doing the marketing for Medusa. I don't know. Maybe
it could have been. I got to recap with those guys.
Yeah, I said according to him, he only did the freestyle events over there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, okay. All right. So
I stand corrected then if that's the case. You know, first thing to go when you get older is the memory.
Leon saying that Ziggy and Lewis that did it, not Leon.
Okay, it was Ziggy and Lewis. Okay.
Okay. So that's what Leon's saying. All right, thank you, Leon.
Thanks, Leon. So then from there, then I worked, I think, with Leon and Lewis then at the Village Cafe then. That's when I played with them there and with Marco.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. So that's there you go, Marco. There's the answer. So, and then you were at the Village Cafe. You were also working with Pablo Punk Out as well, as well, right? At the Village Cafe. I remember that's where I met Dave, Dinamico. That's where he was playing as well.
Mm-hmm.
Dinamico, and who else was DJ working with you over there?
Marco played there too. Myself, Pablo, and I don't recall. There was a lot of people because the thing is though with Lewis and Leon, they would bring a lot of guest DJs, so it was always somebody different. You know, you had your group of residents, and then you would bring weekly guests and everything, just to give it a different flavor every now and then.
So were you resident at the Village Cafe?
Yeah, for a minute, yeah, I was a resident there.
Okay, all right. So at that point, what happens with you after the Village
From
Cafe?
there, around that time, that's when Spanish rock was really hitting, and at that point, Frank Monroy was doing events with Azteca, and he was doing these events at the Oak Theater. And I remember at the time, I was dating a girl that she was so into the Spanish rock, and I was like, I never heard it. I don't know what it's about. And then she was like, you got to listen to it. You got to listen to it. So I remember I was driving and I saw one of the posters promoting one of their events at the Oak Theater. And then I saw the number on there. So I called the number, and it was Frank's number. And I remember I talked to Frank. I go, hey, Frank, listen, I'm an alternative DJ. At that point, it was me and Frankie V. And I go, you know what? We're alternative DJs and wanted to see, maybe if we can, maybe come by and do a spot. The alternative scene and the Spanish rock scene go hand in hand. So he's like, yeah, sure, come on down. So we played at one of their events at the Oak Theater. And that's where a whole new era opened up for me when I met Frank Monroy with myself and with Frankie. So once we met Frank, then that went into a whole new era where the V5 era started from there, or the Volume Entertainment at that point.
Yeah, thank you.
Volume Entertainment at that point, yeah.
So that was Frankie V was part of that already, right? Frankie V was part of that. I think Frankie V was also one of the DJs as well. And was Frank Monroy a DJ as well, or was he just a promoter?
No, Frank was just a promoter. Frank was just a promoter at the time. Thing is, though, I forgot what his DJ's name was. I think his name was DJ Jordy. Was a Spanish rock DJ for him. And then
Okay.
myself and Frankie V, we met Frank Monroy for the first time together at Oak Theater.
Okay. Oh, okay.
Mhm.
That I didn't know that one. All right, and I
Right.
don't think a lot of people knew that one. So thank you for letting
Yeah.
know that one. Um, so you got introduced to Spanish rock, and that opened up a whole new world for you guys, right? That music.
Yeah.
Uh, and then that's where you gravitated mostly to Volume Entertainment. Is that where
That's
things kind
when
of like that?
that's where I was working with Volume Entertainment for that point. Then I was working with them. Um, I was working with them at Marina, at Casa Mi Hermana, uh, Rusty's. That was the first one. Was Rusty's, and then yeah, from Rusty's to Marina City. From Marina City, I want to say it was Casa Mi Hermana, and then from Casa Mi Hermana, it went to Convent, the iconic Convent.
Yes, yes, I remember that. Because I remember they were at, from what I remember, they were at Marina Towers to my sister's house and then to Convent. And that was the, as one of the guys said, the evil empire. Marco Hernandez called it the evil empire.
Yeah, they that's the Convent was one of the iconic places, and that's where you had DJ Diablo, you had Rick Guerrero, you had other big DJs that came from there, you know. So I'll never forget. Convent is like one of the most iconic places that I could remember, in the sense that it was literally like 1,500 people every Saturday.
Right, right. I remember that. I remember that. That was the same time that I was doing Palladium. And I remember there was always a discussion. It says, "Oh, you guys are competing against each other." I said, "No, man, they have the 21 and over crowd, and we had the 18 and over crowd. So it was a different animal. It was we're kind of doing the same music, but we weren't, because I know
Right.
that it was, and anybody who came to, let's say, Palladium per se, it was younger. It was where you guys had more the college crowd. And when I mean the college crowd, people that had graduated college, 21 and over. I call it the and more so like alternative aspect of it. Like they were more the alternative looking kind of crowd, because they were a little older. You know,
Right.
they weren't whereas like Palladium, I remember we used to have the guys dress up in the rock shirts, you know, the Spanish rock shirts and stuff like that. They do the
Mhm.
mosh pit and almost like that goth kind of, they were Club Caifanes and stuff like that. That
Right.
would be the crowd that played it. But V5 was the adult version of that, you know, the Convent was the adult version. I remember, and I've been there maybe a handful of times because I was so busy doing my event. But when I went in there, I was like, wow, beautiful women. Oh my God. So, you got all the beautiful, not that we didn't have beautiful women, but I mean, I remember they were older, beautiful women, you know, obviously my age. I thought they were like, oh, okay, you know, they're not 18 years old, you know, they're all 21 to 25, you know, and that
Right.
beautiful, beautiful crowd. So yeah, I remember that. And
Yeah, well, I
it was
because
packed,
at that
packed.
point, at that time, both those places, that whole area, it was ridiculously crowded, because between Palladium and Convent, you could not find any kind of parking for at least a 3 block radius. You know,
No,
but and the thing is, though, back then it was all about partying, clubbing. You know, having a good time. Rarely saw fights. You know, so
right.
it was good, and the vibe was great, was phenomenal. You know, so yeah, so it went to there, and then if I remember correctly, from Convent it went to Transit. I want to say no, I don't remember. It's just like so long ago, so much stuff.
Well, I know Frank has done a couple of different things, you know, different kind of sub things and stuff like that. White Star, you know, there were a couple of things, but you know, he had concepts of other things. But
Oh yeah.
but particularly you're talking about like on a Saturday, Friday, Saturday night per se.
Right,
That
a
was
regular
really
thing, yeah, because he did a lot of one-offs like at Stardust or Tulum
right,
or
right.
whatever it was called at the time, and then he would do other events here and there, which I helped out. If I wasn't DJing, I was helping managing, or I was just helping whatever needed to be done. So I did more than just DJ with them.
Okay, so Luis Ramirez says it was biology bar after convent.
Okay,
So
thank
yeah,
you.
that's right. It was biology. Yes, it was biology bar.
You know,
'Cause that was
yes,
big
you're
too.
right. You're right, because that was the time between when shelter closed and transit opened. That was that gap. So yes, so biology bar. Yes, there you go. So
Right.
yeah,
So I remember, and biology bar became, I guess that was that then I had Vogan pre 720, and then I think it was that kind of like we went to Vogan, and it was a different animal of Vogan, but I remember biology bar because it came to the whole thing of 21 and over crowd. It was beautiful and stuff like that, where we were dealing with the kids, the 18 and over crowd and stuff like that. And I think biology bar was what, 2001 ish. I think that's when it
I want to
happened.
say like 99, 2000. I want to say.
Okay, all right, okay. That was. And how long were you guys at biology bar? Do you remember that?
I don't remember. The thing is though, those years were kind of blur because I was okay. Next question. Yeah. As a matter of fact, I ran out too. So so the biology bar days were a blur, like you could say. And then from there, it segued into circus. And
Right.
then you had biology circus. You had the two areas. So that was the, I don't know, I want to say maybe 10 minutes of my life from what I can remember.
and then you guys went to transit. Is that correct?
Well, they did. I went with them, you could say, yeah, because that was all volume entertainment. So that was, like I said, at that time it was like Frank and Frankie V. So I went with them. So yeah, I'm never an owner or anything of that for them, but yeah. Then from there we went
Right.
to transit. Yeah.
Okay. But you also, besides being a DJ for Frank, you were also doing some administration stuff, right?
Yeah,
That you?
I did a lot. I did a lot of different things with V5 or Volume Entertainment rather. I managed for them. I scheduled some staff. I was doing that a lot more than and not DJing as much. But every now and then I had that itch, so I would jump on and, like, for example, Rick to this day tells me, "Hey, let me get on. Let me do one." So I always had the itch. I always had the itch. After I completed that one track, I got off. I still got it, and then go back and do the administrative stuff. So then, go ahead.
No, that was kind of, I kind of remember a conversation with you and me when I went to transit, because I used to go there. I used to talk to Frank, I used to talk to Barry and stuff like that. And then I remember I seen you weren't DJing, you were kind of doing the administration. I was like, oh, okay, this is what he's doing now, or you know. But I knew Frank would have people work with him, doing in the office and stuff like that. And I knew that was he utilizes his team basically, like what he had you do. How long were you at transit then?
Again, that was another blur part two, you can say. But no, I can't say that because I was working administrative, so I can't say that.
Right.
No, I was there for a couple of years. I did that. And the reason I did more the administrative and the managing and stuff like that was because that paid more. That paid more. It was longer hours, but it paid more, and I was paying myself through school. I had to pay my way through school, so I needed the money. So unfortunately, I wasn't one of those that could get a financial aid or scholarship, so I had to go ahead and do that. But it was good though. In all aspects, I met a lot of different people. to this day that I talk to. So yeah.
Okay, so transit goes on, and you stay with transit until how long? How long? I mean, I would just say
2000 and something. Because from there, after transit, they Volume Entertainment opened up a new spot, which was called Jet, which was around the corner from Joe's on Weed, down the street from Crowbar. So they were doing Jet. So Frank's like, I want you to go over there and run that. So I started running it. I pretty much I took care of it all. I was able to bring in DJs and whatnot. So then I started doing that more, and then that's where I gained my hat to promoting. So I tried to promote. So then Frank and we had a conversation, and Frank's like, listen, this is something you wanna explore. Go ahead, man. Just just don't just go ahead and try it, and see what happens. So then from there, I started promoting on my own, and I did Jet, and I had Manny G playing there, Hector Lopez, and then also a couple of other DJs as well. But then promoting is freaking hard, dude. I'll tell you that right now, dude.
Oh, really?
Promoting is hard. It's like, I gotta do what? I gotta pass out flyers? Oh, come on. I gotta sign up people and put them on the mailing list and send out emails? No way, I can't do that. So that career was pretty much short-lived.
Yeah, it's not easy. It's not an easy job. You have to be, and at that time, I think Facebook had just came out, if I'm not mistaken.
No, it was Mi Gente.
Oh yeah, well, it was Mi Gente, MySpace, and stuff like that. It was the start of social, the social.
Exactly, the social media kind of stuff. Yeah,
right,
exactly.
Right, exactly. So
which completely overtook the whole promoting thing.
Right.
Yeah. So that didn't work. So then from there, then I ended up working with Mannequin. Started working at Mannequin on I forgot what night. I think it was Wednesday nights or Thursday night. I don't remember.
And that was not with Frank though.
No, that was not with Frank. That was with Frankie then. That's when that was with Frankie, and that was with he started something called Vertigo, which is going on until now.
Right.
So I started working with Frankie at Mannequin, did that for about a couple of years, I want to say, and then that's when it closed down. I guess the ownership was changed and whatnot. So that's what happened with that, and then from there, I want to say, from there I started working at Patron Hacienda, I want to say. And then I started working at Patron Hacienda on Saturdays when it first started.
Okay.
Yeah.
That was with Louis.
Louis Corona, yeah.
Yeah, that was with Louis.
And then started working there, and that's when I started getting into my video DJing phase. Because
what place?
At Patron Hacienda. Because Patron Hacienda had like a bajillion big screen TVs all over the place. And I was like, and video mixing was already out, but really not many people. It was expensive to get videos and all that stuff. But then I just ended up saying, you know what, I think this is something good to get into. It's a niche. And just seeing the videos play on the multi-TV wall, it's just like, wow, So it was good. It was good. So that's when I started playing at Patron Hacienda.
What music were you playing though for video?
There I started playing a lot of the electro stuff, and I started making more of a transition into the reggaeton, the bachata, and the merengue, because now it started evolving more towards Latinos. So that's where I started playing more of that, and then there was more of that also being available on video. So anything I can get my hands on video-wise, I was playing it. And Patron Hacienda was a juggernaut. That thing was jam-packed every week. So I was there, I want to say I was there for about 4 years. And then I was let go. So I was like, okay, well, maybe that's it for me. No one's gonna pick me up again, you know? I'm like, I can't get another place. So the following week, I went to Fedora Lounge, and that's where I saw Lewis and Leon because they were promoting it. So I went there, you know, I started talking to them, and they're like, "Hey, what's up? Were you not a Patron?" And I go, "No, I'm not there anymore." And then they said, "You know what? Why don't you come here?" I was like, "All right, great." So Lewis and Leon gave me another opportunity. They like a week later, I was let go from Patron, and then I went to Fedora Lounge the week after. And at Fedora Lounge, it was a different vibe. It was not so much Latino. It was more of a Gold Coast area where it was more EDM, more you know, some hip hop and whatnot. But it was a variety of everything. And there, I was playing with DJ Cricket, and I was playing with DJ Tune. And it was a small spot, but that place was so jammed in there all the time. So, you know, yeah, Lewis and Leon, they gave me a second opportunity to come back again, and I was like, all right, let's do it. So I was there with them for a minute. I want to say 2 years, 3 years. I'm pretty sure that Lewis and Leon will tell me how long I was there. But yeah, so I was there, and then I went back to Patron. Something there was some change in management and stuff like that, and then they said, you know, come back. So I went back there, and I played up until maybe a month before they shut down. And at that time,
Oh, that was,
I'm sorry.
I was gonna say, yeah, I remember when they shut down.
Yeah, they shut down. They shut down, and the thing is though, during my time at Fedora, I was approached by the manager from Lalo's in Berwyn, and he's like, "Hey, I really like the way you play, and you know, would you mind maybe stopping by Lalo's in Berwyn and playing, you know, on Wednesdays?" I was like, "Yeah, sure. I got nothing going on Wednesdays." So I started playing at Lalo's on Wednesdays for about a year, and then he just approached me, the manager, Danny. He's like, "Listen, you know what? We were thinking if you could maybe come play Friday and Saturdays also." And I was like, "Sure." So that's how I got my spot at Lalo's in Berwyn, and I've been there for 3 years now. So that's where I'm currently at right now. And then from some of my mixes I post on Vimeo and whatnot, um, the people from Latin Bliss on the north side, they heard some of my stuff. They reached out. They're like, "Hey, do you want to, you know, come, you know, do a spot and, you know, see if you like it?" I'm like, "Sure." So I went there, did my thing, and they said, "Hey, would you mind playing every other Friday?" And I said, "Sure." So on Fridays, it would be myself and DJ Ivan. We would switch every other week. And then from there, it transitioned to doing every other Friday to playing every Saturday at Bliss. So
Okay.
right now it's like first part of my night on Friday and Saturdays is playing Lalo's. Second part is playing at Bliss. So that's what's going on now.
Well, not currently now, but
Well, not currently now, no, no. So we'll see what happens. You know, we'll see what happens when the foot lets us know what's up.
so how's in the current situation, are you live streaming? Are you doing the live streaming?
I'm doing live stream, but my live streams, I'm trying to take advantage of them in the sense of I'm trying to play different kind of music that I wouldn't really play in the club, like different remixes, different type of sounds like house, different like bachata, like the real Dominican bachata, different types of salsa, the new reggaeton that's coming out. There's so much music out there, and I know at a club, it's difficult to play new music because people don't really accept new music right away. They have to listen through radio, or Spotify or something to be able to actually hear it. But now with the I'm sorry?
Isn't that shameful though? I mean, isn't that sad that
It's sad, shameful, yeah, because there's so much music. There's so much music. And, and respect to all the DJs out there that are streaming, because if you haven't done it and you do it the first time, you realize it's a lot harder than what it seems. Because number one, you have no crowd to read. Number two, you have to worry about looking at your social page to make sure you don't get shut down, because it's happened to me a couple times. You're playing for an hour and you look over and about 45 minutes ago you were shut down because copyrights, So it's a two-man to three-man person type of job, as opposed to when you're DJing at a club, you can read the crowd, when to transition to different music, and it's just consistently going, as opposed to basically DJing when you're streaming. It's like literally playing in a submarine. You have no windows. You don't know what's going on. And, basically you're like, all right, let me wing it. So rather than just being discouraged, because I know a lot of DJs do this because I'm one of them, you're looking at your live icon and you have 4 people and you're like, oh, don't let that discourage you, man. Just keep going. Just do it, because you're putting music out there that other people aren't playing. And on top of that, they're going to be able to review it later. They can see it later. They can play it like an hour, 2 hours later, because Facebook keeps them on there. So it's like, it's rough, but don't be discouraged. That's my thing.
Well, all right. So, and I'm going to go back to what we were talking about, music. I think what happens is that the crowd that we have in the clubs, I'm going to say that one of the things that I maybe because I'm like for instance, when I do Cuban music, right? I'm doing Cuban music. Nobody here in Chicago knows Cuban music, right? So they don't know if it's good or bad, right? They don't know.
Right.
But I'm playing it. And I get people that look at me like, what is this you're playing? Because they don't have no clue. And I know, to me, it's like, well, if I'm the DJ, I'm going to play good music for you guys. That's just the way it is. Now, it's almost, you have to like train them into like thinking, or should I say into believing, I'm playing something that's good. Don't worry about it. Even though you've never heard it, it's good. And that was the kind of concept. And I'm going to go back into the old house days, when any DJ from the Hot Mix 5, where they would play a song, nobody had to hear it ever before. If they hear something new, they would be like, oh, guess what? The Hot Mix 5 is playing it, so it must be good, right? And it didn't matter, and I think that's where people have gotten spoiled, because they were like, wait, let me Shazam it to see if it's a good song, or let me Spotify it and see, like exactly. And to me, it's really disappointing in the sense of, because we as DJs, we know we're going to play good music. Trust me, we have good ears and stuff like that. There's not a bad song out there, but I mean, what I mean by bad song, it's not a bad song that we will play to you.
Exactly.
We've heard it. We know what we're doing. We're going to mix it into so that it sounds good and stuff like that. And I know people will be like, people are like, what is this he's playing? Trust me. And I'll tell you exactly when this happened to me. The first time I'm at Palladium, I'm playing the reggaeton song, and I'm playing Gasolina the very first time. A true story. And people all looked at me like, what are you playing? And I'm like, this is going to be the hit. This is going to be the hit. And everybody's like, what the hell is that? Gasolina, just like repeating and repeating. And then sure enough, what happens? Then it becomes big. And I'm like, no, man.
And then it becomes accepted.
right. And I'm like, no, man, trust me. It's a good song. But in retrospect, and going to what you just did, what you said, I think the video aspect of it changes that for a lot of people, because you could play something new and there's a beautiful video on as well. And so they're going to be like, ah, it's a good video. Ah, it must be a good song, like where it
Right.
helps. It helps. And the reason why I'm saying this is because anytime a new artist comes and sends me music, first thing I tell them is to do me a favor, send me the video of the song, because I know for a fact that people are going to be more acceptable about the song because they see a video. It's not just visual. I mean, it's just not audio.
Audio.
It's visual as well, and that helps the song a lot.
Yeah.
Because you'll see you'll see a girl singing it, a guy singing it, just kind of that look in So they were like, and I know there's a lot of people, if they don't know the song, they wait for their,
Exactly. It's funny, and it's funny that you say that, because I played at places where it gets to a point sometimes I just mess with people, because I play a new song and they're like, okay, I'm gonna still sit down. I played two good old songs and they're jamming and everything, and I sneak in that new song and they go sit down. I play that old song and they come right back up. They're like going up and down. I'm like, give it a chance. Open your mind to new music, because eventually it's gonna be known. It's gonna be recognized. Because as yourself, I'm sure as a lot of other DJs that are tuning in would know, we take hours and hours every week to go through new music. For every one good track, we've went through 100 of other tracks that were just like, no, this isn't gonna work. So like you said, if we play it, it's because we know it's good,
Right.
So that's the unfortunate thing about it, is that sometimes people are so close-minded that a song that you played that first time, Gasolina, that no one liked, now they're like, Gasolina, just give it a try. It's gonna hit. If we play it, it's because we vetted it, So that's the way I see it.
But
But
like I said, I think, and just like you when you went into the video mixing and stuff like that, I don't know if that's kind of what I did too with the salsa music. I went in and research, and I made my own videos at one point, because there was
you have to do, yeah.
and because there was no video, or the video was on beta, it was terrible sounding and stuff like that. So you're dubbing the good audio, and you're just kind of matching. And we're using our video programs so that it looks good, and and we're doing our best to make it like a visual, like And I think for me as a video DJ, and I'm sure you the same thing. I think it gives a different vibe in the club, as opposed to just doing. I mean, nothing wrong with all audio, but when you have the video behind it, there's that visual aspect of it. And for me, I know there's also the fact that people are hearing it, people are seeing it at the same time. So you're pleasing both the audio and the visual aspect of it as well. Besides the drinking part about it as well in the nightclub.
Yeah, the thing I've noticed about, like, for example, like playing at Lalo's and playing at Bliss, they have a big dance floor, but also they have tables where people can sit down and drink and whatnot. And then, you always have those friends that go in couples and you're the third wheel, which I've been there. But, you're sitting down and the other friends are dancing and you're just sitting there and you're like, all right, let me look at the wall. But with the video, it interacts with them and they're like, okay, well, I'll watch the video. Oh, okay. So it attracts everybody, not the audio, not just the audio, but also the video portion of it. So that's why I ended up getting into it. And just
Right.
there's songs out there that are good songs that have no video, so you have to adapt and make your own, which I make a lot of my own videos as well. So it's something different. It's just another addition to it. Now, could we play without doing videos? Of course, we got the audio, but it's just another aspect of it.
Right. So, and that's why video is always good. I just like the video, and any place I'm DJing at, I'm like, please set it up for the video mixing, because it just seems to work really good. Like I'm at the Drake Hotel, right? Where there's no video screen, but they set it up now that there's a video screen behind me and stuff like that. And trust me, I have these people always asking me like, oh, who's that? Who's singing? Who's the, they're, because it brings up the curiosity, or they're Shazamming and they can't even find it on Shazam. But here it is. It's like, okay, we got to know who that is. Who's singing? Who's this? Because it isn't coming up in Shazam or anything like that. And,
right.
And the other factor, Julio, I don't know if you ever run into this, but because of the video mixing that I've been getting into, now artists are sending me their videos. The actual artists are sending me all the videos.
Exactly.
Because they know that. So now they know that, hey, and especially in fact, one of the girls that I'm going to be interviewing, his name is Isis. She's going to be on here and stuff like that. But the first thing I did is just send me your videos, and she's and I play her music all the time. She's a salsa singer, and she's always like, she goes, no, I get it from Chicago. Yeah, everybody tells me, oh, you play my music and stuff like that. And people are like seeing her, her. And I had brought her into Chicago to perform at Humble Palace, and I just remember that she was like, now any song she comes up with now is the video that she does it. So now she knows the impact and stuff like that. And as a promoter, I'm going to tell you this. When I brought the one of the bands from New York, we had an extra 300 people showed up. You know why? Because their videos were all on YouTube, and the people knew they were coming to Chicago, and their subscribers came to the event. So you're telling me, any new artist with a video, it's a win-win for everybody, because people came to the show because of their videos. So I know it works out, works for everybody across the board, the video mixing. And I like the video mixing, especially like we were talking about before, different music. That's the cool thing about it. So when you're live streaming, are you doing video mixing?
Go ahead, I'm sorry, what?
I said, when you're live streaming, are you video mixing, or are you just doing audio?
No, I'm video mixing. But the thing is, though, again, with a lot of the equipment that's needed for live streaming, it's like I can't do both right now. The memory on my computer is so limited that I can either do like the camera shot or the video shot. So I'm in transition to get both of them, which I'm getting there hopefully. But I do the videos, but I have a Vimeo page where I have all my video mixes up there. So I have like all different types. I have alternative, I have house, I have bachata, merengue, salsa. So it's all up on there. So, but the thing is, though, I'm getting to that point. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Well, make sure that you put your links on there for your pages and stuff, the Vimeo and all that. At the end of the show, make sure to put it on there, because we want to direct people to your page and direct people to that Vimeo that you were talking about and stuff like that.
Yeah, definitely. Sure.
So the last thing, because we're got about 9 minutes left. The last thing I wanted to, I know it goes quick. I know it goes really quick. And this was a lot of fun talking to you, Julio. Learned a lot, and I'm sure a lot of people learned a lot. I know we talked about this, that you learned a lot about DJs being on the show, about their history and stuff like that you didn't know. And I'm sure a lot of people didn't know about Tweety.
You know what? So okay. I know that's the one that's going to haunt me forever now. Al, if you're listening, Al, thank you.
No, trust me, he's listening. He's listening. He's working now, but he listens. He says he listens all the time and stuff like that. So, uh, so I want to ask your opinion because you're doing two spots on a Friday and Saturday, you know, kind of do the two spots. What do you think is going to happen when they decide to stop the stay at home? What do you think is going to happen with the nightclub aspect? Or what do you think is going to?
In my personal opinion, well, obviously it's gonna obviously be down to half the capacity. If they're gonna make venues half the capacity. So that right there, you're still gonna have a crowd. But I think what a lot of club owners may start doing is that they're seeing this whole streaming thing going. So what they're probably gonna do is they're gonna probably do the club thing and maybe at the same time stream for people that aren't there, or maybe just to expose it even more, expose the club to another audience. I think they're probably going to incorporate both medias now, because right now with these streams, you see some of these DJs, they're getting like 10,000 people, 100 people, and it's like, it's a completely new concept that everybody's tuning in. Like right now, the amount of people right now, they're listening to us. And I think that's what they may do. They may bring both. But in terms of the club industry, it's going to be half capacity. And I know everybody's heard this time and time again, but that's the new normal now. That's what it's going to be. And I don't know if they're going to make people wear masks inside because you're going to shorten that distance. But whatever it is, I'll be ready. I'll be ready when they come up to me and they say, "Can you play my song? Can you play my song? We're leaving. Can you play my song?"
Yes, we've all been through that as well. And is it raining by you? Is it raining by you?
It's coming down.
Yeah, it's raining by me as well. And I'm not in my basement, so I don't know if you heard. My basement was. I got it prepared. I got like blankets. I got time like that because we got a leak. And, it's just fortunate because at that time, I guess the ground was so soaked and stuff like that.
Right.
So, I mean, great interview with you, man. I mean, I learned a lot, and I'm sure a lot of people learned a lot. It was funny as well. And Al says hello. He's online as well. So.
Let me take this minute to first and foremost say, Al Cisneros, thank you so much, dude. Thank you so much for getting me started in this. All this is because of you. Thank you. And thank you for that name too. Also, just to
say to
yeah, you know what? This was just one thing that I just want to just let people know. For up and coming DJs, don't give up. It's always hard. Just keep going, because with these streams, with as much content as you put out on Mixcloud or Vimeo or whatever, people do listen. People do listen, and you will get that call. Just be patient. The one thing you shouldn't do is just be negative and talk bad about other DJs, saying I'm better than him or I'm better than that person. Also, a lot of other DJs out there, oh, you're playing on a controller, you're playing on CD, you're playing on a CDJ, you're not doing vinyl, you're not doing 1200s. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter what media you use. Doesn't matter what type of equipment you use. At the end, it's how you portray yourself with the music you play. Okay, I've seen people play with like old school Geminis, and they bang it out. So it doesn't matter what you have; it's the heart you have for it, and what you do towards it. Like, how do you put it out there? But also, the biggest thing I can say to new coming DJs: be humble. Okay, do not think you're better than anybody. You got these big time DJs like Gino Rock and Romo, CZR, DJ Jess, Rick Guerrero, all these other DJs that I'm sorry, they don't come to mind. Those guys are the most humblest guys out there. They will let you use their headphone jack. They'll let you use their headphones, whatever. They're not ones to say, you know what, I'm better than you. Do you know who I am? No. These guys are the guys, class A guys, you know, and much respect and much props to them. People like Manny G, you know, always going an extra mile. You know, promoters like Terrific Tom, like Frank Monroy with V5 and Frankie V with Vertigo and Luis Corona, everybody, they gave me an opportunity. Luis and Leon, those guys, you know, be good to them, they'll be good to you.
Right.
That's my whole closing for new people. So
Yeah. All right. Well, Julio, it was fun. Stay online. I'm going to talk to you for a little bit. Guys, that's the Front Door Show. Don't forget, tomorrow we got DJ Neurotic. And then Monday is my pre-birthday party that I'll be doing here. And then Tuesday, my actual
on
birthday.
Zoom. Woo!
And then on Tuesday, on my birthday, every year on my birthday, I always have an artist come in to play at Alhambra. But this year, I'm having Tito Puente Jr. is going to be my guest. So he's going to be on my show. So that's going to be fun as well. So that's going to be cool. You guys got to tune in for that. Tito and I have known each other for almost 25 years, man. We've known each other for a long time. So it's going to be interesting.
I got a Tito Puente story for next time.
Oh, absolutely. All right, man. Don't go anywhere. All right. Talk to you soon.
Thank you. Appreciate it. God bless.